everybody? Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And we were going to talk about this Saturday's title fight involving Deontay Wilder defending his WBC title versus Alexander Povetkin. But as you probably know, that fight's not happening now. Why is that, Rob?
Well, there was a case of performance enhancement drugs.
Yes. Alexander Povetkin tested positive for, what was it, meldonium? Meldonium. And
before we go any further, I just want to say this. Check your butt hurt at the door, because we're going to leave several things out. We're going to be as non-biased as possible.
As usual.
We're going to throw out ethnicity, and we're going to throw out national or pride or whatever it is. So this isn't a U.S. versus Russia thing. We're just throwing that out the door because we know there are some people out there that are going to get butthurt about the whole situation. We've seen the chat boards. We've seen the videos. We're not going to go into that.
Yeah. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, a lot of y'all tripping. But, that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
So, right now, we have most of the facts of the situation. The only thing right now we're waiting on is a ruling from the WBC.
Mm-hmm.
And to be 100% honest with you, this situation is very, very murky. And I say that for a few reasons. Number one, the drug that Povetkin tested positive for only recently became illegal.
As of January 2016.
Yes, January 1st, 2016, meldonium became an illegal performance-enhancing drug. Now, before then, it was still a performance-enhancing drug. It just was not legal.
Now, it was first looked at and discovered and talked about and debated on back in 2014, I want to say at the Winter Olympics.
Yes, so a lot of Russian fighters were found to be using it.
Well, Olympic athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Russian Olympic team was found using it. And, a lot of people were upset about that.
And most recently, Maria Sharapova was found to be using that, I think, earlier this year. I want to say January, February.
It was March.
Oh, was it March? March.
Yeah.
It was, which Open? French Open?
I think it was a French Open.
One of the Opens, but that's what we know about it.
Right. And that's the thing. It is a performance enhancer. That's what they found out. This drug is sold over the counter in Russia and Eastern European countries. So it's not like it's something that they had to go to some shady back room type of thing to get. And like we said, it just became illegal. So even if they were using it, it's no different than somebody using a multivitamin.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep that in mind when we're talking about them using it. Yes, it enhanced performance, but it was not illegal. And a lot of people, they get all talking about the PEDs. That's where the moral gray area comes in, because it enhanced performance, but it was legal up until this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had several fighters get caught with it. And in this case, like we said, it gets even murkier because Povetkin was found with a very minuscule amount in his system. However, he was tested 3 times. The first 2 tests came negative, and the third test was positive.
Mm-hmm. No, this was the April 27th one.
Yeah.
I think there was a test on like the 7th, 11th, and 14th or something like that.
So it was the 4th but he was tested previously and was negative, and now he's positive, which if it was still in his system from before, common knowledge would say that it would be caught in the first test and not in subsequent tests afterwards.
And this is, and it probably was so minuscule at the time that it was not seen because, again, testing for it is still rather new, especially by VADA or the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency, which usually, which a lot of people are starting to try to use over the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency because they're more unbiased and they have more state-of-the-art equipment and research. So this is by a very reputable anti-doping agency and testing facility.
Yes, and also the World Anti-Doping Association, who pretty much oversees everything, they've been giving exemptions for it because of this whole murky situation that we're talking about, depending on how much you've been caught with. Now, as far as the actual fight is concerned, the WBC decided to call the fight off, and they're going to investigate the findings and get a ruling. And they're either going to suspend Povetkin, they might take away his mandatory status, they may just reschedule the fight if they retest him and see that it's not in his system anymore.
Right.
That is the main thing that we're waiting on right now. And in terms of anything else, according to that fight happening, it's all rumors and hearsay. It's all opinions. It's all feelings, emotions. And really, we can't really say what about the fight until they make their ruling. And as of right now, if Team Wilder does not want to take that fight, they're 100% within their rights to do so, because Povetkin admitted taking the substance. It is a known performance enhancer.
As recently as his fight versus Marius Wack back in September of 2015.
Right. So he is using it. And so a lot of guys might say, hey, how can he do this? And, they would say he's cheating, but technically he wasn't. He's not cheating because it was not illegal until 2016. So, like guys like Watt, they just have sour grapes. It's like, oh man, this guy was taking something, but they didn't catch it in time. Well, sorry. I mean, really, that's all you can say.
Now, meldonium, just looking at meldonium, which is meldonate or meldronate, some crazy word. We'll probably put it down in
science.
It's technically used to treat ischemia, which is when a person has poor blood flow to certain parts of the body. It's supposed to improve blood flow.
Yeah. Similar to EPO back in the day.
So what that does, it's oxygen, nutrients, is carried through the blood through oxygen, through the blood cells, oxygen, nutrients in the blood cells throughout the body. So it improves blood flow. What does that do? Increases cardiovascular fitness. It improves recovery time, and it helps. Just with those two things, recovery and cardiovascular fitness. It's not one of those things that's just, hey, we're just going to steroids and testosterone. No.
Though technically that is what most steroids do.
Well, what it does, again, what the steroid does, it allows you to do more work and recover faster. In order to do more work, build muscle and endurance for a fight.
Right. Which, like we said, that's why most of the illegal drugs are illegal. Because they have that effect on people. It's not because they all of a sudden become Superman. It's because they can work harder to make themselves Superman. It's not like a super serum or anything like that. It's a enhancer.
Right.
It just helps you do what you've already done. And so that's one of the things that you have to put out there. Now, back to the fight. Personally, I'm very disappointed. I really wanted to see this fight. I thought this was the best person that Deontay Wilder was going to fight in his career.
It would have been.
Almost all put together. I mean, Povetkin was a gold medalist. He had a great record. He had been in there with Klitschko. He had knocked out pretty much most of the European heavyweight contenders. The guy had it. And honestly, I didn't think that he was going to lose this fight. I thought that he was going to be able to handle Wilder and the mistakes that he made and take advantage of them in order to secure a decision. But now with this substance controversy going on, he did have another advantage that would be seen as unfair. And I didn't think he needed it. But it was there. And this kind of reminds me of the Andre Berto situation back when he fought Victor Ortiz and they had their rematch, and he tested positive for a substance, but it was so minuscule that it was not actually a performance enhancing amount, but that fight still got canceled.
Right.
And you have to think about what happens when a fight is canceled. We just don't get to see a fight, but there are several people that will not get paid because of this.
Besides the fighters.
We're talking sparring partners, we're talking the crew, we're talking the event staff, all of these people that will not get paid because of this happening. And Deontay Wilder and Alexander Povetkin, their promoters, and maybe even their trainers, they're going to be okay. They make millions of dollars. They're going to be fine. But that sparring partner who just put in 2 months of work, getting his head beat in, now for nothing, that's where the real problem is in my eyes. Not only did you got in maybe, like we don't even know if, he was either still taking it or maybe trying to small dose it so it wouldn't be seen.
Right.
Or it just miraculously popped back up in his body.
Yeah, we don't know
We don't know
the half-life or the lifespan of meldonium, especially if he was taking certain levels or amounts back before it got banned.
Right, so that's all the things we're waiting on from the WBC and probably the World and the WADA. They're probably going to get together and really hash out all of that. But like we said, there are probably a few hundred people that are not going to be paid because of the fallout of this. So that means there is not food on their table when they're already not making a lot. Those people that were banking on this, those are real victims of this event falling out. So hopefully we get some kind of resolution. I think the rest of the card is going to be going on. So like when it comes to the event staff and things like that, they can still get paid. The undercard fighters, they'll still be paid. And that helps. But the attention that would have been brought by the heavyweight title fight is now gone. So maybe they have to refund a lot of tickets. The event takes a hit, which means some people might not be paid the way that they expected to be paid. That's the dark side of boxing. So really, what we have to wait on is the WBC's ruling on what happens next. If they say that, hey, there was enough in there to be suspicious and they suspend him or, cancel out his mandatory status, then that's good. If the Wilder camp decides because of that they don't want to fight him, that's good too. But if they say, hey, it's not, and we can reschedule this fight, then the fight needs to be rescheduled.
That's right.
We need to see this fight. Deontay Wilder needs it for his confidence, learning, and credibility. Same thing for Povetkin. He's going to need redemption because a lot of naysayers are going to be like, oh, he's just a cheater. And maybe he's not just a cheater. Maybe, maybe a mistake was made. We don't know what happened. So we really have to, right now, give him the benefit of the doubt. Just say, hey, we're going to reserve judgment until the final results come through.
That's right.
So we can't throw a bunch of unnecessary hate his way. There's really no hate that should be thrown at Wilder because he was trained, ready to go. And now they're like, hey, we're not going to fight. So he's not at fault at all. He was training. He came clean. So he is completely absolved of this situation.
That's right.
So that's what we're waiting on. Hopefully, I really hope that this fight does end up still happening. But if there is a punishment levied, then he should get that punishment levied and, accept the consequences of his actions if it's found out that maybe he did try to take some more or something like that.
Right.
So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be coming at you with more updates. Hit us up on Facebook, Google+, Instagram, CapitalofCombat, Gmail, same name. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming at cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.